Where's the ball? Get the ball. You guys. Hey. So I'm gonna go over chapter 2 briefly. So I wanted to talk about these founding MILFs. You know what I mean? Also, it's an election year, so go vote, right? I hope everyone's getting prepared. Did you know that 15 states recently rejected the proposal for a funding increase for summer schools to get funding for food? So to feed kids that needed food in the summertime. I think that's one of the coolest things that anyone can do. If you've ever been food insecure, I have. And it's terrible. Everyone deserves to have food. And sometimes kids' only meal is during the school season, you know. And then when they're out in summertime, it's really hard for a lot of parents to be able to feed all their kids. And at my work, I was lucky enough to help coordinate a food distribution. And it was only for a couple of months, but, you know, I saw the need, especially one of our parents needed food, and we only provide like one breakfast, lunch, and a couple snacks, and I saw that the parents needed food more, and so contacted the food bank here in San Antonio and explained the situation, and we worked with them, and we started getting food distros. And so every Friday they had a big a produce bag, depending on the size of the family, several produce bags that they got to take home. And so we take for granted when we have money that there are other people that don't have that food, don't have those luxuries, that it's just terrible. And so the fact that these Republicans in 15 different states are refusing to increase funding for food for the summertime for students is just, it's deplorable. It's atrocious. And so it's a voting year. So go out and vote. Vote Green Party if you got to. If you have to, vote blue. And it's better than voting for anybody that's gonna try and take money away from the United States, and it's people that need it most. I know that Biden is funding all sorts of atrocious wars with Israel. So we're in the shitter there also, man. I don't know what the answer is. I can't tell you the answer. I say Green Party. Other people are saying anything but Trump. And I'm not gonna say that exactly, but I do understand the sentiment, and like, I'm not gonna vote for Trump, obviously, but after everything Biden's been doing, how he hasn't stepped in with immigration policies, how he's funding genocide, like, I just don't know what the answer is. And so my answer is write in someone's name in the ballot, write in Bernie Sanders, go Green Party. Just write in Elizabeth Warren. Just like, don't forget to vote. So this is America, and it's the book, A Citizen's Guide to Democracy, Sans Action, in Action. We're in chapter 2. I'm going to try and keep it lively. It's late at night, so I'm drinking a little bit of green tea. I'm drinking a green tea with ginger and probiotics from Bigelow. You know I'm a gigolo for Bigelow. And also drinking another Bigelow. It's lemon ginger. It's like I think it's called lemon zest or lemon ginger zest, and it's also has probiotics just to keep the gut good, and the shit's runny. Just kidding. No, it doesn't do that. It helps your stomach. And I just really wanted a lot of ginger and a lot of lemon, so I doubled up the 2 different teas. And then I also I got a Zen Tazo. And so Tazo, it just tore off. Sorry, Tazo. It's because I've been using it. But it got wet, but I tore it off. But they're good tags, and they're good tea. So it's a Zen, which is like a mint with other like lemongrass and other things in there. Super good. I'm a huge Tazo fan. Sorry, 1 second. My cat is trying to go to the potty, and I think I need a help. So this is chapter 2, and really appreciate that. Oh, and speaking of This Is America, I heard that a certain Childish Gambino is coming out with a new album pretty soon. So I need to check that out. I'm really excited about that. Can't wait for Childish Gambino to release that, because that's going to be awesome. Alright, enough already. So, quote from George Washington. Jefferson, you're on the 2. Hamilton, you get the 10. I'm calling dibs on that one. That's all me, baby. What's that, Adams? You wanted the 1? Alright, that's it. You don't get to be on anything. That's right, I'm taking back the quarter. Anyone else want to complain? I didn't think so. So, our founding fathers on all of the bills and coins. And I know we have, like $50 and things of that nature that have gone to like Sacagawea and things of that nature, but it's not enough, Like, why is Andrew Jackson even on a bill? Like, he committed so many atrocities in the Trail of Tears. Like, why don't we scrap that guy and put someone else on it? Like a Native American leader. That would be awesome. I know we've been saying that for a while, a lot of different people, so it's just my 2 cents. Get it? We're talking about bills and change and 2 cents. You see what I did there? Anyways, so chapter 2 is called The Founding of America. So before I read, one more plug for Bigelow, and maybe I'll be a gigolo for Bigelow and they'll sponsor me at some point. So, the founding of America. It's been hundreds of thousands of years. Do you want to hear my English accent? It's the founding fathers, after all. It's been hundreds of thousands of years since man first made his presence felt on planet Earth. But had it been time well spent? Our species' progress had been steady but slow. Man had survived, but with previous little to show for his time. a frustration summed up in the famous cave drawing entitled "Enough Already with the Hunting and the Gathering." Of course, there had been great accomplishments along the way. Fire as a winner. Fire. I don't know if you could tell what they said there. Fire was a winner, good accomplishment. Walking upright went a long way towards easing back pain. We'll just say it. Even the wheel, the boat, and language would prove quite useful, especially on the heels of this less successful parallelogram, rock, and grunting. All wonderful innovations that would, in their own tiny way, advance the cause of man. But nothing yet accomplished would rival in importance in the discovery, colonization, and eventual democratization of the New World. Yes, America would become what de Tocqueville described as the total package. America's journey from undiscovered frontier to independent nation to transcendently perfect beacon of freedom was long, complex, and fascinating. But to fully understand this journey, you only have to memorize 3 dates. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That's what we say to Columbus, okay? And discovered America. I think the Vikings discovered America before anybody else did. Anyways, now some have argued Columbus actually discovered the West Indies, or the Norsemen had discovered America centuries earlier. I told you. Or that you really can't get credit for discovering a land already populated by indigenous people with a developed civilization. Those people are communists. Columbus discovered America. America's path to democracy was cleared by the colonists' generous giveaways like the much sought after smallpox blankets. So the second date that we're looking at is 1620. In 1620, the Pilgrims landed dressed real queero. The next great date in the history of American democracy marked the Pilgrims' establishment of the first successful New World colony. Now, some have argued the first established colony was actually the ill-fated Roanoke colony, or the slightly better-fated Jamestown colony. Those people are mentally ill. Roanoke and Jamestown do not count because both settlements lacked the key ingredient necessary for the successful colonization of America: religious fanaticism, obviously. Plymouth succeeded because its inhabitants did not come to the New World searching for glory, adventure, or hot man on Indian action. Rather, the Pilgrims had come to escape religious persecution, to create a society where they could worship as they pleased, and one day, God willing, even do some persecuting of their own. Said John Winthrop, the first elected leader of the Plymouth colony, in England, quote, in England, we are looked upon crossly for what they deem our first unusual form of Puritan orthodoxy. Will I say unto those whose gaze be deemed disapproving, you call that persecution? Dirty looks? Watch as I have this young girl burned alive for having hiccups. End quote. Interestingly, almost 400 years after the foundation of the Puritans' Plymouth colony, the state of Massachusetts became the first to guarantee the constitutionality of gay marriage. This act was misconstrued as a bold move forward in the cause of equality, but in reality was just a hilarious fuck you to the Pilgrims. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so third date to remember. In 1776, the Declaration of Independence was signed. Finally, the date of destiny, July 4th, 1776. The day America officially broke with England. Oh, they broke up. The day brave patriots signed a document stating, quote, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. The day most historians refer to as democracy's money shot, but two shots, but was our journey to independence inexorable, or had it been, as some have claimed, exorable? Consider this remarkable fact. The United States of America, the greatest country in the history of the world, would not exist had England simply been less stingy with the chamomile. Okay, next subchapter, also around 1776. Prelude to Revolution. You can't spell tyranny without T. TEA, of course. Through most of the colonial history here, I'm just going to product placement. Through the most of colonial history, can you see Bigelow? Are you looking at the Bigelow? Okay, good. We're gigolos for Bigelow here. Through the most of colonial history, inhabitants of the 13 colonies were loyal subjects of the British Crown, resourceful, dedicated, and, as the third Duchess of Kent was fond of saying, some tea drinking motherfuckers. In fact, whenever the subject of the New World was mentioned within earshot, yes, tea was not just a hot beverage in the late 18th century America, it was the hot beverage. So it came as quite a shock to the colonists when in 1773 the British government outsourced all American tea jobs to the East India Company, an offshore British multinational. In addition, the Crown passed the Tea Act, raising the tariff on tea 1/8 pence per dram, the modern equivalent of $5 million per tea bag. What's that? It says give or take. So, you know, but they raised it a lot. They're being facetious, but they raised it a ton. They're taxing them on these imports. And so, but the English-American relationship had been deteriorating for some time. In 1765, King George III imposed the Stamp Act, which, in conjunction with the equally harsh Coin Act and Action Figure Act, decimated colonial America's burgeoning nerd community. Damn it, no more action figures. Their anger was soon given a voice by Pennsylvanian John Dickinson, who eloquently argued for greater colonial self-government in his classic Letters from a Pennsylvania Farmer and its less popular sequel, The Pennsylvania Farmer and the Goblet of Fire. Oh, I know that one. The first major act of violence occurred in 1770, when British troops fired into an angry mob and killed 5 citizens in what came to be called the Boston Massacre. Yes, it was a happier, simpler time when only 5 deaths were seen as a massacre. Not the natural consequence of, say, a Detroit Pistons championship celebration. But in 1773, 1863, the Tea Act that proved the tipping point in America's struggle for independence, the colonists gathered to debate their next move. A New York-based wheelwright and lyricist whose catchy slogan was "No taxation without representation" galvanized the populace and marked the birth of a great American political tradition, the reductionist rhyming chant. But the Tea Act required immediate action. There would be no out-of-town previews. There were only 2 weeks until opening night. People, 2 weeks! Come on now, get it together. And so, on the cold December night, a party of Bostonians dressed as Mohawk Indians boarded ships, anchored in the harbor, and dumped thousands of pounds of tea into the Atlantic. Though, due to better than expected turnout, not everyone got to dress up as an Indian. British authorities immediately closed the harbor and clamped down on the Massachusetts government. A move brewer patriot Samuel Adams called wicked. In Ye Boston Globe, months later, the battles of Lexington and Concord would make reconciliation impossible. England and her colony, America, would be forever separate. How did it come to pass? Perhaps no one summed it up more eloquently than the 3rd Duchess of Kent. Quote, "Fuck with the motherfuckers tea and the ship be on." End quote. I do want to say that I just passed the MILF section, and so I'm kind of like, do you want me to just read this and then go back to the MILFs? Because there's a picture of sexy-ass Rob Corddry here, and I'm like, if nobody's watched Children's Hospital or the second Harold and Kumar movie, or, God, was he in Hot Tub Time Machine, or am I being ridiculous? What's the movie he was in? The other one? Anyways, Rob Corddry. You know Rob Corddry. God, he's so hot. I think he's so hot. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, we'll just finish, and then I'll go back to the MILFs. So the Declaration of Independence, brittle parchment of liberty, is what it's called. It's what it's known by. If you're going to sever ties with to your commonwealth through bloody struggle, it is considered polite to write down why. Nobody wants to get 3 years into a revolution only to realize the whole thing was Three's Company-esque misunderstanding. The Declaration of Independence was a laundry list of grievances stating America's case for freedom. Its accusations against the king range from egregious, "He has plundered our seas, burnt our towns, and ravaged the lives of the people," to the trifling, "Sometimes when he sees us at a party, he acts like he doesn't know us." But proud men would not take up arms against the crown solely because the king had erected a multitude of new offices. The authors of the Declaration knew they would have to appeal to man's higher nature, to stir men's souls. They needed something with a sass. I'm not sure how to say that. Enter a young hotshot tobacco executive from Virginia, Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson had great success marketing tobacco. His task now would be to synthesize the unique brand message of America down to something that would captivate the hard to reach 12 to 28 ragtag militia demographic, all the while not offending traditional butter churn moms. His first attempt at the preamble was, quote, "America, A is for all the tea they taxed, M is for the Minutemen they shellaxed," end quote. It tested poorly, as you could imagine, but his rewrite would be a win-win. Quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident. that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, end quote. Okay, there's like a little box over here, and I kind of want to read it real quick. The box is not part of this. It's like a little other story, and it says, "Would you mind if I told you how we do it in Canada?" Let's hear it. This is by Samantha B. And it's the story of America's independence from England is very well known. But did you know that Canada was also once part of the British Empire? It's true. We Canadians threw off the same British yoke as you. Only we took a more leisurely route to liberation. In fact, you might say we've been declaring our independence for more than 200 years. Kind of. Our style of revolution centered less on bloodshed and guerrilla warfare and more on time-tested strategy of not making a fuss. For example, at the same time you were declaring war on the English monarchy, we were enjoying privileges granted to us by King George in the Treaty of Versailles, which gave us fishing rights off of the coast of Newfoundland, provided we not dry or cure fish on land. And by the way, we later got the right to cure and dry fish on land. Thank you very much. All I'm saying is that there is more than one way to skin a cat or a fish, I guess. Not that I'm in any way saying I would like to harm a cat. Quite the contrary. I like cats, unless America wants Canada to skin a cat, in which case we will gladly do it. The point is that we took our time waiting for the Canadian moment to arrive. Rather than forcing it upon the world, we waited in the cold, watching the U.S., most of the Central and South America, Africa, and Asia throw off their colonial oppressors. I think it was us and Belize that held out. And our patience ultimately paid off. For in the glorious year of 1982, we took a bold step at getting permission from England to amend our Constitution so we could amend our Constitution. Without getting permission from England, let freedom ring. We took a bold step of getting permission from England to amend our Constitution so we could amend our Constitution without getting permission from England, like in the future. Now only the remnants of the tyrannical rule of Queen Elizabeth II are appointed Governor General, who represents her in Canadian governmental affairs, and the Queen is still officially our head of state. Plus, I didn't know that about Canada. Plus, she's on all of our money. And when we take the government job, we were just talking about money. And when we take the government job, we have to swear loyalty pledge to her. All in all, a small price to pay for an independence achieved without bloodshed, violence, glory, or independence. I'm sorry if this was in any way seems like I'm bragging. Okay, so we found this, we hold these truths to be self-evident. We got these unalienable rights. You know their life. You know their liberty. You know it's a pursuit of happiness. But only if you're born here, because if you're a refugee and you try and seek safety here, they'll just kick you back out and they'll fly you out on a plane, or they'll just not help you while you're in the river saying, "Help me, ayúdame." They just leave them. They just leave them there. Literally. They literally just leave them there. There's videos. Anyways, in the scant 35 words, Jefferson had given the nation the kind of positive brand identity that rendered moot the issue of whether or not we had to live up to its ideals. Still, knowing the inherent contradiction between their noble words and the reality of slave-owning nation, Jefferson had the founders wisely decided to strike from the Declaration of Independence the phrase, "or your money back." The Declaration of Independence was signed and announced on July 4th, you guessed it, 1776. A new nation was born. The Founding Fathers could now retire back to their respective states, knowing that all that was left to achieve was for their untrained militias to engage and defeat the most powerful empire the world's ever seen. So, were you aware, despite working long hours and grueling conditions, most slaves received absolutely no college credit for their unpaid labor? Interesting. So the next subchapter, the Constitution. Let's get this party started. Cue Pink's song. And quote, "The revolution is over. America has triumphed. Let us continue to solve any and all problems by using violence." End quote. American General Anthony Wayne at the Battle of Yorktown in 1781. So, the founders realized a country forged in war would need a powerful legal blueprint to preserve its hard-won peace. The Articles of Confederation, drafted between 1776 and 1777 and ratified a few years later in 1781, was not that document, okay? But a series of confusing provisions, such as Article 4, see Article 12, really terrible at reading Roman numerals. We'll just say it's like 23. This is not that article. An article, like 12, see Article 4, just referencing back to, it's the other one. No, it's that one. No, we'll look at that one. Is that one the one that's that one. The articles vested the majority of power in the state's hands. A poor idea given South Carolina's immaturity and how angry New Hampshire got when it got drunk. Why did the articles fail so completely? Well, most historians believe that the Founding Fathers spent a great deal of time of their first constitutional convention drafting the Declaration of Independence and only realized the July 3rd that the articles were also due. By 1787, the inadequacy of this poorly conceived document was apparent even to the dimmest of framers. So, that summer, 55 of the country's greatest minds, led by Alexander Hamilton and James Madison, once again convened in, you guessed it, Philadelphia. This time, have you ever seen the Liberty Bell? Oh, it's so big. It's so big. It's just big. Jesus Christ, where did it go? Here. This time, their provision would not be dissolving bonds, but forging them. And in so doing, giving birth to a new, permanent, glorious law forever linking the diverse components of a young nation destined to spread across the continent. They would name it the Constitution, after Hamilton's mother. If the Declaration was our nation's sales pitch, the Constitution would be its owner's manual. And as the Founding Fathers knew all too well, no one ever reads the owner's manual, okay? So the Constitution would have to effectively vest power in the hands of the people. Republicanism is what that term is called. Without undermining the importance of, and republicanism, the act of vesting power in the hands of the people, is not the same as being a Republican. Those are two different terms. Semiotics says that words change meaning over time. Just because they have a similar root word doesn't mean that they are acting as the same sort of idea as what we know Republicans as and the Republican Party as now. I mean, I hope I said that as clearly as possible. Without undermining the importance of central authority, which is federalism. So the Constitution would have to effectively vest power in the hands of the people, republicanism, without undermining the importance of central authority, federalism. It would thus need to be an all-encompassing document. The first few drafts even included recipes. A recipe. Article the 10th. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. And then there's a little marker, like an ellipse, and then it says, secure the blessings of thine goodman husband with a more perfect confection. In the course of heating a stout oven, combine in a mixture of ale, honey, and egg, and flour. Then impart them with a whisk in order to form a more perfect batter. And it goes on. So you can see. Oh, promote nutmeg. Okay. So, to achieve these ends, the founders ultimately conceived 3 branches of government, a notion ensuring the separation of powers through a series of checks and balances. It was a system reflecting the founders' belief that children would and should memorize not just dates, but also phrases. But on what basis should the 3 branches be divided? It came down to 2 dueling ideas. Madison's proposal of an executive, judicial, and legislative branch, and Georgia's Joseph Morton's proposal to dole out power according to the presence, forbearance, rectitude, and largosity of one's plums and carrot. So, last page, and then we get to find out a little bit more about the MILFs. Hey! Stop! Don't do that! Sorry, it's my cat. I apologize. After much deliberation, it was decided that Madison's proposal would be accepted. Morton, relenting only after the Constitutional Convention, agreed to proclaim him impressive. After 3 branches would, in essence, police each other in an elaborate system of safeguards and precautions that would prevent power from being concentrated in like too few hands. Quipped a jubilant Hamilton, quote, the only way it could fail is if one party gained control of not just the executive, but also the Senate and the House chambers, and upon doing so proceeded to bring in like-minded judges. And then the framers all laughed and laughed and laughed. Untimely, the Constitution provided our fledgling democracy, America, with a bulwark against tyranny. A foundation based upon the rule of law, equality, and a respect for the individual and property of the world not yet seen. They even graciously included a manner to amend the document as circumstances dictated for future generations. The founders prayed only that this Constitution be ratified, respected, and upheld, and that nobody would tell the black people about it. They're being facetious. If you're not aware, this is The Daily Show with Jon Stewart presents America. They're having it's being facetious. Okay, so let's check it out. So the founding mothers, this is by Rob Corddry. We get to go to him. So he wrote this. When the editors of this book asked me to contribute an essay or 2, I only had one question. ¿Cuánto dinero por mí? Having resolved that issue, I was presented with the challenge of writing on a subject I admittedly knew nothing about. The founding mothers, or as I have cleverly punctuated in this title above, the founding mothers. Here's mother. Here's what I found on the internet. Betsy Ross. Everybody knows Betsy Ross was the one who got it all sewed up in the theme song for that show, Maude. But what you may not have known is the thing she sewed up was the, you guessed it, American flag. I'm talking about Old Glory, the old red, white, and blue, old Ironsides, Captain Jack. I did some research, and it turns out that Betsy Ross was alive and sewing American flags today. She'd be a 13-year-old Laotian boy. Sad but true. Abigail Adams. Abigail Adams was the wife of President John Adams and was widely considered his intellectual equal. He must have been pretty stupid. No, I was kidding. In fact, she once wrote to her husband, quote, "Remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors." Making her one of the country's first feminists. My guess. She was probably a dyke. Fucking wrong. Mary Hayes, a.k.a. Molly Pitcher. So this is actually a pretty cool story. During the Revolutionary War, soldiers would often get very thirsty while fighting. That's where Mary Hayes came in, bravely carrying pitchers of water to the soldiers, running unarmed across the battlefield as bullets and shells whizzled by her. Once during Pledge Week, the brothers made us carry thimbles full of our own urine across the quad while screaming, "Faggots!" in our faces. So, I mean, I know what she went through. Sybil Luddington. Finally, there's Sybil Luddington, who at 16 years old rode 40 miles around the town of Fredericksburg, New York, to alert local militia the British were coming. She's often called the female Paul Revere, although really she rode twice as far as Paul Revere, so maybe he should be called the male Sybil Luddington. That's actually pretty cool. He's like, just kidding, that would be gay. I hate that they use all that. I found this story by accident during my routine Google search for 16-year-olds plus horses. He's such a dumbass, dude. So, as it turns out, alongside the dozens of founding fathers whose words and deeds continue to reverberate throughout American society, there were, 4 or 5 women of note? Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm out of here. So, wait, but we didn't find out which one was, I guess all of them, right? In that case, all of them. Oh, yeah. Okay, y'all. So, thanks. There's actually like a lot more in here for you to look through, but it's funny, and you should read it yourself. Yeah, so a guide to world revolutions. The USA, 1776, fuck yeah. French, 1789, Les People, the winners. The winners. 1917, Russian, Lenin, Stalin, Joe McCarthy. Cuban, 1959, Fidel Castro, muralists, Cuba's makeshift raft building industry. Iranian, in 1978, Ayatollah, Khomeini. And then digital, 1993, dorks, nerds, dweebs, venture capitalists. So good for y'all. Interesting. Okay, so y'all gotta read that. And then I guess like discussion questions. Who do you think the framers made the Constitution? Or why do you think? Jeez, I can read most of the time. Why do you think the framers made the Constitution so soul-crushingly boring? Duh. Jazz it up a bit. Number 2. Have you ever founded anything? If so, is it something that went on to become a global superpower? If not, why not? Show your work. Number 3. When in the course of human events, it is necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands that connect it to another. Phrase your answer in the form of a declaration. Number 4. Look in the Constitution for an example of each of the following. A check or a balance. A reference to black people as being worth exactly 3/5 of white people. And then cross it out. Assholes. The word erection. The part that keeps Arnold Schwarzenegger from becoming president. And then next question. Look in the Bill of Rights for the amendment that makes a specific reference to each of the following. Affirmative action. Partial birth abortions. Yelling fire in a crowded theater. That is, it'll come to me, I'll tell you. The homosexual agenda, and then, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger can now run for president. And then 6, the females and African Americans were excluded from the new government. Why didn't the Women's Center of the Multicultural Center organize a teach-in? It's being facetious. And then 7, 13 colonies. That's bad luck. Who was the colony wizard who came up with that one? All right, y'all. Thanks so much. There's like a little maze here that one could do a little exercise. And then the next one is the president, king of democracy. So we're going to learn a little bit more about the commander-in-chief if you go to the next one. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I need to go get my cats. They're having a little panic attack. And then we have a lot. There's so many graphics here. You should buy the book. It's so good. They even have a map and a little cutout flyer that you can take. There's like little mazes, activities. So yeah, get this book. It's funny. It's facetious. It's also a little old. They keep saying the word gay as a. I know they're being facetious, but they keep saying gay as like a bad term, and so my brain seems to not be working today, and so I am gonna go, and this is America. Don't catch you slipping. Yeah, I'm really excited for Childish Gambino's new album, and this was brought to you in part by Bigelow. We're Gigolos for Bigelow. And Tazo, thank you for helping my scratchy throat. And if you're interested in supporting me and my crazy antics, because I don't read it verbatim, I always throw in words and phrases and like just different things. So I'm not reading this just verbatim. I just want you to know that. Feel free to give me a little shout in my DM, say thumbs up, like the video, share the video, tell your friends about it, go tell your friends, and then go vote. I mean, I think that's just the main thing, is like go vote, and vote for the people that want to feed children. That'd be nice. And save them. Feed children and save children. That'd be awesome. I think our future generations would really appreciate that. So, yeah, I really appreciate it. This is a Reading Rage Live, and I'm alive! See you next time. I can't. Oh, poked your eye. My bad. Take care, guys. Be safe.